Last class we did about asynchronous counters. So in this class we are going to learn about synchronous counters. Okay, so this is pretty simple, unlike an asynchronous counter. So here, the name itself suggests, it's synchronous counters. I have not presented. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now it's visible, right? Okay. So last class, in lecture 22, we learned about asynchronous counters, and this class we are going to learn about synchronous counters. As the name suggests, okay, that synchronous counter, that means every flip flop is given the same clock, right? Whereas in the asynchronous counter, what we did was we were manipulating the clock to get the different states. Here we are not going to manipulate the clock. We are going to give the same clock to all the flip-flops and design a combinational circuit so that the desired results is sequence is obtained. Okay, so that is the difference out here. Now the first one is a 3-bit binary counter. If you see here, we are going to the first LSB, if you see, if it is 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1, okay, it's going on like that. So we can generally use an T flip flop there, right? And what about the second state? If you see, okay, it is 0 1, right? Then it is 1, the two ones, then zeros, two ones, zeros. So the clock is going to remain same, unlike in a synchronous counter, where asynchronous counters we were seeing about the transition, whether it is a negative edge triggered or positive edge triggered. So that is not the case here. Here the because it's all, either all of them will be positive edge triggered or all of them will be negative edge triggered. Okay, so what we need to see is the actual state. Okay, what is the previous state, how they are related. So in this case, if you see, whenever there is a 1 in the LSB, this is getting changed. If it is a 0, it is continuing here. So if it is a 1, it is changing here. If it is a 0, it is continuing from here to here. Again, there is a 1 here, it is toggling. So that means the T flip flop, what we are going to use in the middle, for the middle bit, we need to give Q from here. So automatically, similarly in this case also, see, it is all continuing. 0 out here, 0 out here, 0 out here. So where is it toggling? When there are two ones here, it is toggling. Okay, it is toggling here. Again, from here to here, it is toggling. So wherever there are two ones, it is toggling out here, right? So there is a method, proper method available here, like asynchronous method. We were just doing it with the visual indication. Okay, right? We are trying to form here. Here I am just explaining you based on the visual indication, but if that is not required in a synchronous counter, you can just write the previous state and the next state and derive the table. Okay, here although this is a simple example and it is sequentially increasing, so visually also by seeing it we can find a solution out here. Okay, but and here most important in the synchronous counter is, it need not be sequence. It could be any. It could be 1 4 3 2 1 7, whatever whatever you want. Okay, it could repeat also. You can have 1 3 1 4 1 5. Okay, you can have that kind of sequence also. You just have to make the present state and the next state accordingly, and then make the and then make the combinational circuits accordingly, right? So that is the advantage with the binary with the synchronous counter. Okay, so here there is a common clock, okay, that triggers all. If t is equal to 0, it is going to remain. Now this design is based on t flip flop, but you can make it based on jk flip flop or d flip flop as well. Okay, so if you, it says j is equal to 0, k is equal to 0, t is equal to 0, that we know that fact. T equal to 1, j equal to k equal to 1, so it is so the design procedure is so simple. So we just have to make a k map or see it and see what is required for the next state. Visually also we can do that. So that is what synchronous. So here if you see a binary synchronous counter wherein the clock is given, the same clock is given to all the states, and from A0 it is given to J. This is count enable. Okay, count enable signal is just whenever you want this counter to function, then we give the count enable high. When the count enable goes low, what happens? J and K both will become 0 here. Again, since it's an AND gate, okay, J and K is going to be 0 because this 0 fed here. This 0 will get transmitted here. So it will maintain whatever was the previous. J and K will become 0 for all. So the count enable, whenever it comes, becomes low, whatever was the state, that will be that count will be held, okay, till the count goes high. When the count goes high, then as per the clock it will start continuing counting again from wherever it was stopped. Okay, so that is there. And now the most important thing is polarity of the clock is not essential, right? It could be negative edge triggered or positive edge triggered. So we are not this wouldn't change the method in which the count is changing. Okay, only thing will, if it's a positive edge trigger, that the count will change at every positive edge trigger, but the design remains the same for the positive end. If it's a negative edge trigger, the count would change at the negative edge of the clock. Okay, so that is the only difference which it is going to make. Okay, so this is how it is just implemented. See, it's pretty simple design. So you just have to keep doing AND operations like this, so that you can make the counter. Okay, is this clear, this aspect? Anybody has got a doubt here? Okay, okay, see, this is only 3-bit AND gate. So here if you see, whenever there is a 1 in the LSB, this would toggle. Okay, so that means we are going to give T input for the second LSB from the LSB for the middle flip flop. This is, we are going to feed this output here so that it toggles here. Whenever there is a 1, okay, whenever there is a 1 here, it is 1 to 0, it is toggling here, right? There is a 1 here, it is toggling here. So whenever there is 0, it is it's not toggling, it is carrying forward the same whatever was the previous one. Okay, now coming to this. Okay, so when is the change happening? The change is happening here from 0 to 1. And what is the condition there? When both of them are 1. Okay, LSB and the middle one, right? Similarly, it is changing from here to here. So when will it change? When both are 1 here. Okay, so that is the condition. Is it okay? Okay, you got it. So here it is a so you are taking a here, this is a count. Okay, it's count 1, it is coming here. Again you are putting an AND where here again. In this case there is one more 4th bit which is shown here, so you are doing the AND operation. So you keep doing the AND operation. So this is how. Is it clear to all of you how this has been obtained? Okay, this is through visual inspection. You can do it from the K map also. Okay, by making the previous stage and the next stage, you will exactly get the same circuit out here. Okay, is it okay with all of you? Then I'll move forward. Yeah, see, there will be some applications where you might want to count and you want to control when it should count. So for this particular, if you want to counter, you have to give count enable 1, but you can give whenever it goes to count enable 0, it will store these values whatever it is. Is it okay? Okay. we'll see in the next class. I put some practical examples. We'll see how this count enable is used there. Okay. Time being, you can assume that this will be high. It is only a start. You can use this signal for starting the count and stopping the count. Okay. And if you want to reset the counter, then you will have to use the reset pins. That's not shown here. Okay. Now up down binary counter. Okay, this is going to, that was supposed to be counting high. Now what happens if what do we do if you want to count it down, right? So if you see, if you have to count it down, right, you write 3 2 1 0. Okay, now it has to count down. So you have 1 0 1 0. Now if you see what is happening here, if it is a 1, it is following the same thing. If it is a 0, okay, it is continuing with the same value. If it is again 1, it is again changing, toggling it. So what do we do? Can anybody suggest? What can we do? NOR gate. Yeah, some other suggestion? It's a flip-flop. So what can we do? Very simple solution. Anybody? Yeah, we just have to use a complement of Q0, right? Here it is, if it is a 1, it should not toggle. If it is a 0, it should toggle, right? Yeah. So so what we need to do is, we can take the output from Q0, right? So you can take, and you can also take from Q1 out here. For an up counter, obviously this will become up. When up is high, this is going to be 0. So this NAND gate is disabled. So this NAND gate will be disabled. This will be disabled. But this is high. So you have a high going. This is going to get toggled. This AND gate is enabled. So you are taking from A0. Again, this AND gate is enabled. So you are taking from A1. So it is going to work like that. So whenever we want a down counter, right? So this is going to be 0 out here, right? Down counter is going to be 0 out here. The down is going to be high. This is going to be high. So you have 1 here. So for the first bit, it is going to be same. Okay, it doesn't matter. It is going. But for the second bit onwards, this Q0. Now this gate is going to get enabled. So you have an option of feeding Q0, the complement. So it will start counting low. Is it okay? Very simple method of making an up down. So it's the same counter. You have a control, okay, of an up or down control you can have, right? Is it okay? You can have a single line also, up. Okay, up means up, 0 means down. So you can remove this AND gate and you can leave this down also. You can have a single control line also. If it is 1, it will count up. If it is 0, it will count 0. It will count down. So you can have that way also. Is it clear to all of you? Can somebody say yes or no, so that I know I am on live? Okay. So this is a simple method of implementing up down counter. Okay. Now for a synchronous BCD counter, okay, this is the present state. This is the next state. Okay. So what do we do? So you have, we are going to use T flip-flops. So you make an 1 2 3 4 flip-flops, okay, and then you make an K-map. So that, because it is like visually, if you are trying to do for such big things, you might make an error. So you can make an next state K-map. Okay, so if you make a K-map, you will get these values. Okay, so you will get an this is when you are reaching the highest value. That is when you are reaching 9. Okay, if at all you want this output, okay, that is, it has reached the max count. Otherwise, after reaching here, if you wanted to go back to 0, it will go back to 0 as such you have designed it. But this will go high whenever you are reaching the max limit. Okay, so that is one indication which you would want to have. So you can make a K-map and then you can make a BCD counter. Okay, is this okay? Now if you compare it with the synchronous asynchronous design, this will require more number of hardware, right? So that is the only disadvantage. But then for a synchronous design, there is a procedure is available, straightforward procedure. So that is the advantage. Whereas asynchronous, we saw it uses very minimal number of gates, but then you have to think and come out with a solution. There is no fixed methodology to tackle those kind of problems. Okay, so this is what we do for a synchronous gate. This is a binary counter with parallel load, right? So there will be many situations where we need to load these flip-flops with a preset data. It could be anything. It could be 0000 or it could be 111, whatever. So if you see, this is a load signal. Okay, whenever the load signal is going high, right? So this will become 0 out here. So this count will be disabled out here. This AND gate, again you have one. So this AND gate is enabled here, right? So once this count is enabled here, so you have now 1 coming to the J, and you have, depending on the data, right? If the data is 1, this will be fed 1 0 here through this gate. If it is 0, it will be set to 0 1 here, because these are connected in inverted manner here for J and K. So by using a load signal, parallelly we will be able to preset these flip-flops with some data which we require. It could be 101, 110, whatever we want. And subsequently, when the load signal goes low, the count will go high, and it will start counting from that figure, right? So if you want an up-down counter, you will require, along with the load, if you want an up-down, you will have to combine these two circuits. Is this okay? Is this aspect okay? Is it clear how we are going to load? It's pretty simple. You have a D inputs, right? You enable the load signal, right? And then you give there is an inverter here, so it will become D and D bar here. So the D input will get loaded into the flip-flops. So everywhere J is D and K is D bar. Okay, and that is through a gate which is controlled by the load signal, right? So that is how we are able to do it. Anybody has any doubt in this aspect? Is it okay? Can somebody say yes or no, so that I can move forward? Is it audible? I don't see any response. Yeah. Okay. So this is how we have a binary counter with parallel load. Okay, this is a function table for that. So if clear is 0, obviously clear is this, which we are giving directly to all the flip-flops. So clear, as such, we know that it is not dependent on clock, load, or count, so it will clear to 0. So whereas when the clock is going high, because this is a positive edge triggered flip-flop, see there is no bubble here, so it means it's a positive edge triggered. So in the during the positive edge, if the load is high, okay, so whatever happens to the count, that is not, whatever is not going to affect, the count is not going to affect what it loads the inputs D0 D0 to the flip-flops. Okay, and when it is 1, clear is 1, so it is clear bar, we have a clear bar here, right? So that is why we have this clear is 1, positive at the clock, load is 0, and count is 1, it will count up, right? And then clear is 1, for load is 0 or count is also 0, then whatever is the data available, that will be stored here, right? It will not change. So this is how a binary counter with that is a clear bar. Okay, if you call this signal as clear, then I can write it here as clear, right? It is the name which is mattering, because there is already a bubble here. Is it okay? Okay, we are calling this particular line as clear. Okay, this net we are going to call as clear. So that is why, since there is a bubble here, it is understood. Yes. Okay, so we got to be careful with, especially with the gate and all, and they do create this intentionally, these kind of small confusion. So you have to be clear with this signal nomenclature and all. Okay, Okay, so the next type of few synchronous counters we'll see. This is a ring counter. Okay, so the timing signal and controls of is very important. Many a times you have let me first explain how this works and then I'll speak about the application. Suppose I initially put 1000 here. Okay, now with each clock what happens? Okay, it is an shift register where we have fed the T3 to T0, so it will keep shifting towards the right. Okay, so you will find from here it will go high, in the next cycle it will go high, it will next cycle it will go here, and then it will go high here. Okay, so these kind of signals are very important in digital applications, in microprocessors, and in also for control of the stepper motors and all. I'll discuss some examples in the next class where we see the applications of the counters. But essentially what happens is, suppose there are n number of instructions to be done. So this clock can be given to the bus to fetch the data. This can be given to the next set of registers wherein the data is stored. From the data it is stored. This is an clock cycle we can give to the processor to compute some data. This cycle we can, this clock we can give it to the, it is a single clock, but you are changing the phase of the clock. Okay, so by this phase of the clock we can give it, say, to write the data into some other register. Okay, are you able to get me what I want to say? I think it will be clear probably in the next see this is same clock, right? But I am giving clock to the, say, to the one set of registers or to the bus line where the data is being fetched. So I'll give this clock there. So every time, okay, this clock goes high, I'm going to fetch the data from the memory to a particular location. Okay, this I am going to give it to the write operation where the data available in the bus is being returned, returned into a register. So I'll give this particular, this same clock, but I am able to make 4 different clocks. Okay, obviously the frequency is 1/4, but they also differ in phase. So once these kind of phase different clocks are used by the microprocessors, okay, to do different operations. There will be small sub circuits. So those sub circuits will be fed with these clocks, because they cannot, if you give the same clock, they will all start doing things parallelly. Okay, that will cause an error, because only after fetching the data you should write to the register. Only when the data is available in the register you do some addition or something, and only when that operation is complete you are going to give the output to some other register. So there will be many sub circuits available in the microprocessor, and there, these kind of clocks will be used. Okay, so that reminds me, although I didn't give microprocessor as an option for the next semester, but then I guess that department wants me to take microprocessor. I'm not sure if it is going to be an IC or L2 section, but then so you will have to probably bear with me for another 6 months, and there I'll again talk a lot of electronics there in the microprocessor course also. Okay, so is this aspect clear to all of you? How a ring counter works? Yeah, tell me. Yeah, correct. We are trying to delay the clock by one cycle, and all these clocks are 90-degree phase shift. We can call them as a 90-degree phase shift clocks. The T0 to T3 are 90-degree phase shift clocks. Okay, using the same clock. We can delay it, but this is not doing. It is a single clock, but 4 outputs. Okay, all are frequency divided by 2. T0 is frequency divided by 2. T1 is frequency divided by 2. T2 is also frequency divided by 2. T3 is also frequency divided by 2. But then again, they are also phase difference by 90-degree, right? Yeah, they're starting from the different point, so that there are 4 different circuits. They will work one after the other. They will not work together. One particular circuit completes one function, one task, and then the next circuit will take on the task. Okay, so that helps in and microprocessor. Is it okay? Yeah, we'll see some other applications also in the next class. Okay. Venkat, what is the area use of carry out? Where did you see a carry out? Previous here or here? Okay, that is going to the like if you have an BCD counter kind of thing. Okay, this can trigger the next bit whenever it is going. All are one, right? It is all are one. Now, so it could be the next MSB for the next stage. So for certain applications, this can be used. Okay. This is 3-bit. After 9, if you have a BCD, this will go trigger. So it will trigger the next MSB once. So that is the reason you haven't carried out there. Okay. So now you have to generate. You have a count. You have a 2-bit counter, right? If you give this 2-bit counter to a 2 into 4 decoder, right? So what happens? It will generate 4 signals here, right? Here we saw we are going to use an four registers we have used. Okay, 4-bit counter. So instead of an 4-bit counter, we are just using 2-bit counter. Okay, 0 and 1. If you have a 2-bit counter, it will generate only 2 cycles like this. Okay, only there will be 2 signals out here. So if you see in these 2 signals, okay, what are the bits it will generate? It will generate 0 0. It will generate 0 1, 0 1. It will generate 1 0. It will also generate 1 1 also. So if you have a 2-bit counter here, right, it will generate all the 4 combinations. And if you give it into a 2 to 4 decoder, this line will go high, and subsequently this line will go high, and then subsequently this line will go high, and then this line will go high, right? So this is also by using only a 2-bit counter, I can generate an 4-phase clock, right, using a decoder also. So in this course, by doing like this, we can reduce the hardware, right? Instead of using an if you see these are all registers. Okay, they do take a lot of transistors. Each one of them is a flip-flop. So here there is only one flip-flop required, 2 flip-flops required. But using a decoder which requires lesser number of transistors, you can again generate 4 different phased signals. Like these signals can also be generated by using just 2-bit counter. Here we have used a 4-bit counter. Here we are going to use a 2-bit counter and a decoder. So some comparison has been done here. So you just have to understand that this is also a method of doing and generating that 4-phase clock, which will use slightly lesser hardware. Is this clear to all of you? Anybody has got a doubt here? Anybody? Is it clear? If you have a doubt, then yeah, tell me. No. This count is an enable signal. Clock will be given here to the counter. Yeah. Correct. Clock. We are now talking about all sequential circuits. So take it for granted, there has to be clock for any counter to function. Without clock, nothing would work here. Okay. Now another type of counter is Johnson counter. Okay. So you need to understand these concepts properly, because in an interview they might ask you, okay, what is the advantage of a Johnson counter with respect to the ring counter? So these are very very fundamental questions, which you should know. Okay, in the Johnson counter, only thing is you are taking, instead of giving a T into D, we are giving T bar into the D. Okay, by doing so, what is happening is, if you see these counts, okay, you have 0001, then you have the 1 coming here. Okay, then it becomes 100. Again 1 is being fed here, so it becomes 100 here. Again a 1 coming here, this is going to here. Okay, so the 1 gets filled up then, and then from the 1, since it's T bar which is fed here, again it starts 0. So now with the 4, initially with the 4 flip flops, we were getting now 4 unique states. Okay, now we are going to get 8 unique states. Okay, with this. Okay, so this generates an different pattern of signals. Okay, so with 8 different, so this is got the so you have, if you have these 4 flip flops connected here, okay, and you use these AND gates here, like for the initial one 00000, okay, we want S0 to be high, right? So you can connect this one here, right, this 0 from here, and so you can all zeros you can get as 0. So if you see this implementation, okay, the advantage is, now instead of 4 different signals, right, we have now 8 different signals. That means you are dividing the clock by 2. Also you are dividing the phase into 8 different phase instead of 4 different phase. So at every 45 degrees, okay, we have one clock which is going high. So this is the advantage of using a Johnson counter. Is this aspect clear to all of you? If it's confusing, let me know. Okay, one thing is, we have 8 different states, right? So using this table and a combinational logic circuit here, right, we can generate 8 signals. Like you have generated here now 4 signals which are 90 degree apart, right? You can generate a signal out here using this circuit which is only 45 degrees. Okay, so that is why this Johnson counter with the same hardware, so 8 phase signal can be generated. So this has got its own advantage. Is it clear to all of you? Is there any doubt? Can somebody say yes or no, so that I know we are in sync? No? Yeah. Okay. So now we go. Okay. So we have to be very careful when we are using a Johnson counter kind of, for that matter, any counter. Suppose we have used these states like 000, then the 1 comes here, then 1 comes here. These are the states which it will keep counting. Say there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 states which are used, right? But this is a 4-bit counter, right? This is a 4 register, so it can count. Actually the possible states are 16. So by any chance it goes out of the loop, okay, and this number gets into the system, okay, then it will again count these numbers. Okay, with the same circuit, the way we have given T here, you can verify that if you give these numbers, if this number gets in, okay, this loop will be initiated and it will continue in this loop also, right? Whereas all these numbers are not required by us. So this example is shown for Johnson counter, but this is going to be true for every circuit. Okay, so you have to, when you design a circuit, here, right, present state and next state, I think we did somewhere, right, somewhere back we did, yeah, present state and next state. Okay, this we have taken only the required number of states. Okay, that we should not do. We should also take all the 16 possible combinations, and for those 16 possible combinations, okay, we can give a signal so that if it reaches there, it should come to 00. Okay, so that if it goes out of the loop, this kind of situation doesn't arise wherein it is forming another loop which is not required. So we need to take care of that aspect. So don't use don't care conditions whenever you are making any kind of counter for practical applications, because we won't know when we are switching on the power supply, maybe because of spurious switching, it could land up in this state. And there, if you make a circuit like this and leave it as it is, if you are going to hardwire it, and if it reaches in this circuit, there is no way you can come out of this. It will keep moving in this circuit, so you have to be careful with that. So there are several options you can do. See, these are all the don't care conditions which are there. So it is being shown that, okay, if it reaches here, what is going to happen here? So it is going to rotate within this, okay, with the same implementation. So you have to be careful. See, don't leave this don't care conditions, okay. So apply use these don't care conditions either to get it to 0, like if it is so you have to make a state chart. So this is one remedy, and somebody had suggested it, okay, through optimization. Okay, if you use this OR gate and gate here, if it is going out of the loop, it will come into the loop. Okay, so this is just one example. Okay, you need to what, like, there is several methods of doing it to reduce the hardware. One is with each output you map it to 0 from here, from here, from here, from here, or you can allow it to follow something, and you can allow it to come here. You can allow it this Puri signal to follow here, and you can come here. So these are all flexibility in design available. So again, there is no way to see what is the optimum way. Either you put each one of them to 0, or you allow to some. So this comes from trial and error only. So you'll have to see. So for you, the best method to start with will be, whenever there is some figure which is left out, okay, you put all of them to your next state, you bring it to 0. Next state, you bring it to 0, right? So that will be the starting point. After that, this is done specifically for a Johnson counter, right? So that is why some people have suggested like this, which resulted in this particular circuit. Okay, so that comes after some kind of research. But for you, if there are any element which is out of the loop, okay, you have to see to it that it is coming to 0. So in the next, if 1 1 1 0, you'll have to take next state will be 0 0 0, and then you are going to make the K map. Okay, so I think with that we come to an end of this session. If there are any doubts, and you can ask me. Is there any doubts? Anybody? Yeah, tell me. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let me open up that slide. So I think that would be better. So yeah. 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 Oh. Okay. No, we cannot then see for those states. What are those states? That means then they can never be matched. There is no possibility of matching them then. Yeah, we just straight away, because they are two different states. Okay, and if it receives an A0 input, it has to A0 it receives an A input, either 0 or 1. It has to behave in a particular manner. But if their behavior is different, okay, for one state, and it is going to some other path, the other one is going to some other path, then there is no way we can match them. So straight away we rule it out. Okay, in such circumstances. Okay, the primary condition is the output has to be matched properly. Okay. Okay. Anybody else has got any doubt? Okay. So if there are no doubts, we'll call it off for today. Okay. Thanks a lot.